Meeting. So, welcome everyone to today's masterclass of V4-Ukraine Talent Fusion program. Our masterclass series are slowly but steadily coming to an end. We will have 4 more during the next 2 weeks, so you can still join us. And the previous ones will be available on YouTube, so you can rewatch it as well. And what is also very exciting in this program so far that we still have a pitch competition application open. So if you have a startup or any kind of very great idea you want to make to the next level, then you can also apply to our pitch competition. And today's session will be about networking, which is a very interesting and very useful topic, I think, for everyone who ever attended a networking event and felt a bit uncomfortable. So Tamás is here today to share some tips and tricks of how to make it even better. So thank you for coming, and I give the floor to you.
Yeah, thank you very much and welcome, guys, again to a new session of the program. And yeah, as you heard, we're going to specifically discuss today networking, the art of global networking, and we'll cover both the two different topics: how you can network online and also in in-person events. And the topic is specifically relevant because if I tell you just to look at this picture, or if you hear the word or the expression business networking, what are the first thoughts that come to your mind, or what are the feelings that you normally have? I'm very curious of what you guys think about that. Mishi, you told me something before we started this workshop. What are your feelings about seeing a picture like this, or when you hear business networking?
A little bit stressed.
Stress. Why are you stressed? What causes the stress itself? Stress can have like various root causes, right? And you will actually be surprised, but according to studies, 92% of people actually experience stress, fear, and anxiety when it comes to attending different business networking events. So it's absolutely normal. So you don't have to worry about it. But basically, in this session, I want to help you to be in the 8% who basically experiences this kind of sessions and events as a fun activity without any fear, stress, or anxiety. And many years ago, I actually had the same feeling exactly. I was with fear, I was with anxiety, I was really stressed when I had to go to different networking events. The company I work for, they sent me to different events, but I just ended up sticking with my colleagues and not even approaching anyone, right? So I was not really fulfilling my KPIs, we can say that. I was kind of felt like that I need to aggressively promote myself. I need to approach people and kind of like push my services, whatever happens, so I can go back to the company and say that, yeah, I talked to X amount of people, but it was not really effective, right? It was not really, I didn't feel like I was achieving the results. But then something changed. I kind of felt like that after a while that I kind of have like a misunderstanding about what networking is exactly. And I had to change my mindset about networking to make it more enjoyable for myself. And these are the pictures that you can see. These are from the past years. So networking events is one of my, I would say, hobby for me. I love going to networking events. I regularly go to 1, 2, maybe also 3 networking events per week if I have the time for that, in Barcelona. And I love to, make friends with people, get to know people, and try to see how I can help them. And in this session today, I want to help you to give you all these kind of practices, techniques, and especially the mindset shift that I went through in order to make this kind of activities less stressful for you. What's more, actually enjoyable for you. So my name is Tamás. Tamás Szekér. I think many of you from the previous session already know me. I'm an international business development strategist and also an innovation and funding growth partner with the aim of helping startups to gain strong early traction, acquire clients, raise funding, and scale globally. One of the main areas that I'm also dealing with is networking itself, because what I saw with many startups and founders is that it's really stressful for them to go to networking events and how to introduce themselves in a way which is not salesy, and it's more like engaging and building up fruitful connections. I'm also helping deep tech companies to secure grants from the European Innovation Council Accelerator, and I'm also the co-founder and managing partner of iScale Hub. We support different startups and small and medium enterprises through 4 different branches. One is innovation management and advisory on sales, fundraising, and international expansion. The second one is digital and IT solutions, including software development, cybersecurity. The third one is legal consulting, and the fourth one is engineering solutions, including prototyping. In our career so far, together with my business partner, Gergő, we've lived in 9 different countries across 3 continents. I've personally lived in 6 different countries. I'm from Hungary, but I've lived in France, in South Korea, Malaysia, Colombia, and now I'm in Spain. I'm based in Barcelona. I've been living here for 4 years now. So I'm also trying to incorporate in this session all these kind of best practices and also cultural differences that I've seen in these different countries and cultures. So in today's workshop, on one hand, I want to help you to do this kind of mindset shift, to go to an event without any fear, stress, and anxiety, and to network in a way which is enjoyable. I also want to share some good practices with you, and I also want to make sure that you can formulate your own elevator pitch that everybody understands and it's engaging and you can build up connections with others. Before the session, you also shared some sort of like expectations with me and also some main challenges that you experienced. Mishi, for example, he raised that you are also experiencing fear and stress, and sometimes you don't know how to approach people, how to initiate conversation with them. So we'll also take a look specifically to that angles, that how you can go to people if you're not having a lunch with them, for example, and you're also covering the online networking part. So these are the main topics that I'm going to go through: setting the right mindset first, online networking, networking in physical events, elevator pitch, and then we conclude the session at the end. So if you guys are ready, then let's get started. And first of all, let's take a look about why people normally misunderstand networking itself. And what I actually thought when I was attending to networking sessions, I kind of felt like that networking is more about attending a lot of events, and I have to self-promote myself. I have to go and collect and exchange business cards, make new connections, kind of like try to push my services, right? Pitch to different companies, and then pray that, okay, hopefully either of these companies get back to me and we can make business together. And I also thought that it's mainly only for extroverts, right? So it's not really for introverts, only extroverts should attend. Misha, you also mentioned to me that you consider yourself an extrovert, but still it's challenging sometimes, right? To go to these events and go to random people like that you've never met before. So what I've kind of like felt is it shouldn't be like this. So networking is actually not about me, not about myself, not about promoting myself, not about promoting my services, because the issue is that I normally ask for something, right? That, hey, are you interested in what I'm offering to you? And that's why I kind of felt the fear, kind of felt the stress, because I had to always go to people, pitch to them, and ask for their attention and their time, and basically ask to whether they are interested in what I'm offering. But then I understood that actually, if I do things a bit different, networking is much more enjoyable. And then I recognized that it's actually not about me, but it's actually 100% about helping other people. So how I define networking is more about building reciprocal relationships with people that you like, admire, and trust. And you really have to be strategic about who you want to meet and build up connection with. And networking went really well for me when I really showed other people that are really care. So if people come to you, you don't pitch, but you are rather ask questions. You see that what challenges they might have, even if you cannot help them because you don't have that specific products or services that can be positioned as a solution to those challenges. You try to listen to them and help them out. Why? Because in return, people normally want to reciprocate the help, right? And the more people you help around yourself, the more people want to reciprocate this kind of help to you. I regularly attend Startup Grind. I don't know if you know, guys, this event that Startup Grinds organizes. Startup Grind is the largest startup community for founders, innovators, entrepreneurs. And almost every month, I attend Startup Grinds event in Barcelona, and they have three main values. The first is give first, don't take. The second is make friends and not contacts. And the third is help others before you help yourself. And I personally believe that these three values absolutely represent what networking is all about. So you don't go there to um, take first and ask for other people help, but you rather go there to make friends and try to see how you can help others, right? That's all that you need to focus on when it comes to networking. And psychologically, it's very interesting because if you are in the ask mentality, you are experiencing scarcity and you are in need. And that's why you have lower self-confidence. And that's why you're experiencing fear whenever you have to go to networking events, because you know that you have to ask for something. But if you change this for offer mentality, you will experience abundance and you will feel more confident because you go there, you don't want to sell your services, you want to see how you can help others with advice, with introductions, with just recommending a book to them, whatever you want to help the others, because in return, they will also help you out. Tony Robbins, he actually said something really important in this topic, which is what we define is the golden rule of business and networking. If you can find a way to add value to a massive number of people, you will have the opportunity to have a massive amount of economic abundance in your life. This is definitely something that what networking is all about, right? The more you give to other people, the more you will also get back. And another thing is that you should be more like a tortoise, not a hare. What are the two big differences is a hare is, for example, you reach out to someone that, hey, I really like your post. Do you have something to offer to me? Some opportunities to me? I don't even know you, right? So you haven't built up enough rapport when you approach someone. So they will most probably say no, right? Because you offer little value, you have very weak connection to that person, and they don't necessarily trust you immediately. And normally people who are networkers and they are in the tortoise mode, they are doing networking in a slow way. They build it up. They try to offer value first. For example, when you reach out to someone, hey, I saw you in a conference. I saw your speech. I really enjoyed it. You know what? These were some of the things that stood out to me. Um, so you just build really the strong connection with that person and you will become trustworthy. And that's why, because you build up enough rapport with that person, they would like to also help you out, reciprocate the help, and introduce you to other people. And this is how we reach to the three C's of networking. And whatever you do, whether you do networking online or offline, it's very important that you take the three C's into consideration: competence, connection, and character. Competence is all about that you have to be exceedingly good at something. If you are doing sales, be very good in sales. If you do marketing, be very good in it. If you are offering a solution to, I don't know, corporates, be very good in it, right? Have all the testimonials and case studies ready and try to show it to the world how good you are in that. So demonstrate the competence, learn continuously, develop your skills. And the idea is that you have to connect with people who are super connectors, who are well connected individuals. Why? If those individuals see you, see your competence, and can trust you because they have such a huge network, in return, they will be happy to share your expertise to like thousands of people. So try to find those people who are super connectors. Try also to be the super connector. Try to have the super connectors out and also people around you out. And in return, they would like to also help you out, share the opportunity that you have, and put you in contact with people that you might need. This could be potential investors, potential clients, partners, etc. But let's not miss one very important thing, is the character. Even if you are very good at something, even if you are a super connector or you are surrounded by super connectors, no one wants to work with you if you don't show honesty, integrity, and character. It's very important because otherwise no one want to be, no one want to have you in their network. So that was some of the things that helped me to get into the right mindset. And let's take all these things that I mentioned into consideration and see that how we can put this in practice when it comes to online and offline networking. When it comes to online networking, it's very important that we first set your goals. What do I want to achieve there, right? So why am I doing online networking? Do I want to find investors for my startup? Do I want to find clients? Do I want to get an advice, find a mentor, for example, or just want to communicate my brand, build my brand, meet new people? Try to set it first because everything else will be linked to this. And the second thing is that when it comes to networking, you actually already have a network. Um, Whenever I just really need to want to connect with people, I go through my LinkedIn network first. Try to look for people that I get always advice from or I love speaking to, a role model, right? Or someone who is doing really well in their career, in their professional life, and just re-engage with them, for example, because these people actually have also a good network and they could possibly introduce you or refer you to different companies, investors, etc. What I also do in many cases is to join an online event or an offline event actually, or different communities. And for this purpose, I use Meetup, Eventbrite, and also Startup Digest. I'm pretty sure that you are maybe familiar with, I think, maybe most of these platforms. Meetup and Eventbrite, they are more like they are event platforms. For example, you can, let's say in my case, I filtered for Barcelona, as you can see, and I put as keyword startup. I just wanted to find startup events to meet startups there or even investors out there. And immediately got some of the recommendations. So some are, you see, online events, but there are also offline events, startup grind, fuck up nights. They are also there, for example, and different sector focused events like a fintech event, etc. And the same you can do on Eventbrite. So these are free platforms actually. You can join communities there, you can see events there, etc. And if you don't do that, I highly, highly recommend you guys to subscribe for Startup Digest. This is a newsletter. They are present in more than 300 cities. And basically, let's say in Barcelona, I subscribe for the Barcelona chapter. So every Monday, I get some news about events in Barcelona, about happenings in Barcelona, good startups, good investments, whatever, that anything that is happening in a city. If you are, let's say, managing a fintech startup, they also have vertical related um, newsletters. So maybe you want to subscribe for the news for the fintech one. So these are again very good sources to get information about communities and get information about events that you can possibly attend that week. What I normally see when people attend an online event, let's imagine that you go to a Zoom event, is that many people that just don't switch on the camera, right? So we don't even see the faces, but I think it's very important that immediately, right when you join, people can see you and you try also to engage in the first 60 seconds and try also to introduce yourself. So for example, when you attend an event like this, switch on the camera and introduce yourself, who you are, what you are interested in, etc., how you can help the others, etc. Don't hide. Keep the conversation high level. So don't just, like go into very detail about what you are sharing, but just keep the surface there. just sharing some few things, and try not to leave all your questions at the end of the event, but try to, like continuously come up with some questions so you can, have the regular engagement in an event. This is the other thing, that normally when people join an event, or let's say a Zoom call, many people use a laptop like this, and you see the noise of the person, right? And lack of the background, etc. Do you guys think it's good, or do you like this? What are your thoughts when you look at a person like this?
I always have mixed feelings about these because I would I would rather see someone's real background than some very stupid spaceship or I don't know.
Yeah.
But of course, as you said, it says a lot about the person who's speaking. And if you have, I don't know, a very professional, proper, neat background, then I think it's better than nothing or than some artificial background. But it can also be a bit overdone, like someone is sitting in front of a beautiful, perfectly organized library or something like that, then it
Could
feels
be
good.
could be a bit stranger.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also like how close you are to the camera, right? Or you're looking at the camera, you only see your nose. So it's maybe not the best angle. Um, Mishi said, I never had bad feelings when I say this, but I always try to avoid this. Yes. So it's not necessarily professional, right? So we need to find a way that, okay, so when we have a Zoom call, how can we position ourselves in the camera, right? On the screen. So it's definitely not something that we want to go for. So another alternative that I think works better if you position yourself like this. And why do you think so? Why do you think it's normally better? Or what are your feelings when you look at this picture? Does it feel good to look at this? Does it feel bad?
It's regular. Like this is how I would see someone if we were sitting in front of each other.
It's still better than this, no?
Yes, much better because
Much better.
in real life I don't look at the ceiling. So
Yes. Yes. Someone wrote a message. Looks more natural, right? Yes. And maybe more harmony. Does anything stand out here? You can check the background, you can just check the ratios, whatever.
the aggressive self.
Aggressive cells,
Is this some kind of like the book or what? It's like so many in the behind, like
truth and lies, yes. Anything else, just like the environment? Is it like, do you have like the feeling of a harmony when it comes to looking at this picture?
yeah.
More or less. Yes, it's actually pretty good. And if you guys also do photography, we really like the rule of thirds, right? So we normally don't position the person in the middle, but we love the rule of thirds. So we love to be, let's say, in one third, and then we do something in two thirds of the screen. And if you see this is very interesting that these lines meet here. This is we call the vanishing point. So approximately here, we position ourselves. Why do we have these lines? Because if you look at this, like the sofa and the other stuff, how these are arranged is that they are like bringing the attention to this point where the guy is. So it creates some sort of like harmony, and this is the same thing that is used in photography. So if you can do this at home to arrange your flat and the background, this will also help the audience that you kind of like have the feeling of familiarity, right, and trust and rapport already because of these arrangements. Also, you can see in the background that there is a photo of the family members. It's okay to share something like this, right, in the background. And and also uh, this has the feeling of illumination, right? That in the background that you have a lamp or something. Um, you can also use this. It kind of like have the feeling that someone lives here, and it has the good like harmony basically. But also you have to make sure that you are sitting in front of the daylight, right? So you have natural light on your face, and you can also put the laptop in the eye level, at least the camera in the eye level, so you don't do this, but it's in the eye level. So these are like some good practices when it comes to online meetings that can also build up the rapport better by just like looking at a couple of things that you can arrange in the background. Yes, in the illumination in the background, this is we also discussed. And another interesting thing, you should actually get ready for the future of networking because yes, we can attend, of course, physical events, but guess what happened to me, especially during COVID. It was in 2020. I joined as an ambassador of the South Europe Startup Awards, and I went the regional awarding ceremony. And since it was COVID 2020, there was no physical event. So we used the Virbala platform. Virbala is like a 3D world, like we can also call it metaverse basically, where you can do e-learning, you can also do working, meeting other colleagues, and attending events, fairs, conferences. Pretty crazy, pretty Black Mirror-ish, to be honest. And that's actually me. That's my avatar. So this is how I dress there. And I could meet people from all around the world. So these are avatars of people from all around the world. It was really creepy and weird first, but then you could get used to it. So get ready that this could happen. Now the metaverse is getting stronger and stronger. This could happen that you are actually attending more and more events like this. You use an avatar, you go to an avatar, and you use your microphone to speak. So it's like my microphone was off, but I can also switch my microphone on and sit to a table with another avatar and have a conversation with a person who is, for example, I don't know, in Italy, for example, in Cambodia, in another country. And that wasn't something else. This was at Mobile World Congress 4 years from now in Barcelona. The guy is in the US and the lady was in China, I think, and they were using these robots and they were having a conversation. So it was pretty crazy, but again, this could also happen like in our life these years, next decades, that you will use this kind of technologies to meet people. When I came to Barcelona, and now I would like to press the significance of giving first, that I mentioned, Startup Grind also does that. When I came to Barcelona in 2020, I didn't have the chance to meet ecosystem players in person. 2 weeks right after I arrived, the lockdown started, and Barcelona was the second most hit city in Europe. The only chance I had is to network online. And what I did basically, I joined South Europe Startup Awards. It's part of Global Startup Awards. It's basically all about identifying, recognizing, and celebrating the ecosystem players in Southern Europe. And I was an ambassador in Spain, and I nominated more than 600 startups, VCs, and other ecosystem players in Spain to the competition. And what do I want to mean by this? I reached out to them. I nominated them as the best startup of the year, best VC of the year, best co-working space of the year, whatever. And you already give them something instead of reaching out to them, trying to to sell something, a product or a service. And they were really grateful for this, that they got nominated, got recognized in the ecosystem. So we got a good relationship, and we could also meet in person when the COVID and the lockdown was over. Another way was to give first to the community and expand my network of startups is to do some mentorship for free and join different programs, incubator programs where I could create some value. And it was a really great experience to meet like-minded professionals and startups, give something for free, and then we could collaborate on something bigger. And they also wanted to reciprocate actually this help and introduce me to different other stakeholders in the ecosystem. Another thing I'm regularly doing is introducing my network. I regularly keep, whenever I talk to a startup or VC, a corporate, a government, and many other players, I normally ask them that, guys, what are your main challenges? Even if I cannot help them, I try to keep my eyes open on experts and professionals in my network, and I try to introduce them if there is a match. And these are like examples of introductions that how I helped my network out. For example, here they needed, I think, yeah, investment for this startup. I introduced them to investors, and also there were some other introductions. The idea was that there was a need, demand, and I just introduced these players. Again, they want to reciprocate it later, right? So it's you are going slow, you are trying to help people out in your network, and later they would like to reciprocate this help to you. And let's just discuss LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is such a huge platform with 1 billion users already. Actually, only in Europe, we have LinkedIn has actually in 2020 more than 160 million users. And especially if you are with a startup and if you are in a B2B space, maybe you want to consider reaching out to people or building your network on LinkedIn. But you also have to take into consideration that what are those countries in Europe where there are the biggest amount of members. And this is Andorra is actually the highest with 76, 77%. But actually you can see that Northern Europe and Western Europe as such, they are the most active in using LinkedIn. When it comes to networking when B2B sales, it's very important that you have a strong LinkedIn profile. And one thing that you can do, I also mentioned it in my previous session in B2B sales, that you can change for a creator mode, and people can automatically follow you instead of connecting with you. There was also an option in the past that you could display topics with hashtags that you are talking about, I don't know, sales, startups, innovation, whatever. Now LinkedIn erased this feature, and you can also have certain posts as featured. It's also very important that you have the verification ready, and ask the question that when you look at your profile, that can people who visit your profile for the first time tell you that what is your purpose, what could be your strengths, and what could be your values. Just out of curiosity, so based on this, of course, you haven't seen my complete LinkedIn profile. What do you guys think that my purpose is in my professional life or in my career in general? Or even strengths or values. Do you have any ideas on that? You can look at the picture, profile picture, the cover photo, for example, the descriptions, the way you trying to communicate who you are in the ecosystem, the way how you try to position yourself. Always try to make sure that you can communicate it properly. Whoever looks at your profile, they can immediately tell that what you believe in, what is your mission, what is your purpose, what could be your main strengths in the industry, and what are the big values that you believe in. With the creator mode, you can also feature your top contents and activities. So I put some of these content, speaking engagements, for example. The idea is that whoever visits your profile, you have to build up your credibility that, yeah, you are a credible professional in this space and people want to network with you. Don't forget the 3 C's of networking: the competence, connection, and character. Okay. And you also have to showcase this on your LinkedIn profile. Of course, when you use LinkedIn, you also have to regularly post, comment, and engage. And try to post once a week. Even if you don't curate contents, you can reshare someone else's contents with your own thoughts. For example, LinkedIn has this feature to repost, reshare a post. You can add your own thoughts on that. We also do that with iScale Hub's platform. Sometimes we also curate content. We share some updates about speaking opportunities opportunities for startups, business trips, whatever. But sometimes we also reshare some other interesting contents that we believe could be interesting for our own community. What is also very important for your online presence is to ask for recommendations. If you work with former clients, former colleagues, for example, try to ask for recommendations because your potential clients, partners, investors will look at your profile, and if you can showcase some recommendations there, again, it can showcase your character as well, because recommendations can justify your character, also your competence and the connection. Okay, just keep these three things in mind. And other ways to network on LinkedIn, I normally join different LinkedIn groups. Of course, you can also create groups, but you can also find, for example, if I put startups in the search bar, you can have a lot of results there, right? And the good thing in the groups is that you can really find your niche there. So try to identify who your personas are. Who could be your customers, who could be the investors that you are looking for, who could be potential partners for you, and try to look for specific groups and join the groups. And what's more, as a bonus, you can actually message any members for free on LinkedIn, which is a good way to, again, to engage with people there. And another way on LinkedIn is to join or create events. Actually, LinkedIn gives you recommendations like online and offline events for you that you can immediately join based on your based on your profile. And if you also organize events, again, it's a good way to build your community, to engage with them, and to make sure that you raise awareness around your business. Of course, there's also another way. So if you don't want to do events, you can also specifically find people there. And in the previous session, we discussed Boolean search. It's basically use keywords with moderators, and you either define, limit, or broaden the search results. For example, if I want to find investors in the fintech space, I can put VC or investor and fintech, for example. And I got, as you can see, I got a lot of results of investors. If I'm a fintech startup, that could be interesting for me. And you can also further filter for the city, London, for example, Budapest, or any other cities, and add some further filters. But it's very important to highlight that, for example, if I go to Kevin's profile, who's a fintech investor at a VC, in case you see mutual connections, actually it's better to ask your mutual connections to make an introduction, because you will have a higher chance to connect with Kevin than just purely reaching out to him in a cold way. It's actually interesting that in networking, the shortest route is not to the right person, is not a straight line, but more like an introduction. So if you see someone who can make an introduction, you will have a higher chance to engage with the other person, with the right person, than just going straight to that and sending them a cold message. But of course, you can also send them messages. I normally personalize my outreach when I send out a connection request. And as you can see, I try to make it as personal and customized as possible. That will actually trigger a response, right? Try to put call to actions there as well. And you can also mention some of the connection points, the mutual touch points, mutual things in common. For example, I came across this global innovation manager on LinkedIn. I saw that she was also living in Barcelona, also working in the innovation ecosystem. I would be happy to connect with you. I'm in the same space, living in Barcelona, and used to work with a colleague at the same company in the past. She got back to me immediately. She offered me a virtual coffee. We had a great chat. Okay, so when you reach out to someone, the best thing is on LinkedIn to either ask for an introduction or refer to some mutual touch points so that you will have a higher chance that they will accept your connection request. And you might be laughing, but there is more than that, more than LinkedIn when it comes to networking. Because you can also swipe right. There are also these swipe right applications that you can use. For example, Shaper is the professional Tinder. I don't know, guys, if you know this or if you've ever used this application, but you can create your own professional profile here and adding all the areas of interest, the current goals, whether you want to find, I don't know, a mentor, an investor, you want to grow your business, whatever, and then you can swipe left or right in your city and get and find professionals. Also, Bumble, the dating app, also has another feature, actually two more versions. One for is the best friends forever, BFF, if you guys want to find friends in the city, but you can also find you can also build business relationships there. Bumblebees. I also used to use it in the past. Works really well. There are many, many interesting people out there. I put there that I'm looking for networking, consulting, like this kind of stuff. And it's kind of like LinkedIn, but with a swipe app. And Invit is more like the members only version of Shaper. And you can also meet professionals there, but they have a premium model. So that was kind of like about the online networking. What is very important also, and I want to add that whenever you connect with someone and have the initial chat online, try to also to send personalized messages regularly, once a month, once in a quarter, and then try to take online relationships to offline. If you are in that specific city, have a coffee with the person, or maybe you live in the same city, try to meet up with the person, right? You will build up the rapport much easier. And you can also create your own community, like we did with Barcepreneurs, for example, in Barcelona, or iScale Hub. It's a community for startups, and you can also do this and then meet with the guys in your community. So that was about online networking. I don't know if you had any questions so far regarding this topic. No questions? All right, then let's get started and let's continue with some ways on how you can network in physical events. And Shimi, you also mentioned that, okay, how I can go to different people. We'll also cover this in this section. So the first thing, whenever I go to a in-person networking event, it's very important that you don't just go there randomly and you don't even know who will be there and you're just trying to find your way there, but try to be strategic about these events. So I normally create two lists, one for people that I've already met, and maybe I want to meet them there again and strengthen the relationship with them. And I also create a list of people that I want to meet. Maybe sometimes you see the speakers there or people who attend the event. Also LinkedIn, if there's a LinkedIn event, you see that who will be the people who attend the event. You can create a list of people you want to meet. And here the idea would be to create a good first impression. You don't have to sell anything in the beginning, right? The idea is really to create a good first impression and see how you can possibly help them. And I also do this pre-networking. There are, in many cases, these meeting schedulers. For example, this was provided by Wolf Summit. There was a meeting scheduler. You see that I scheduled 36 meetings. These were like 15-minute meeting though, but I scheduled in my calendar. And also at 4 years from now in Barcelona, you can also like reach out to people and schedule a meeting. So this was a guy in Korea, in South Korea, and I met him in the Korean pavilion. So we scheduled the date and also the place here. Also, another thing that you should kind of like reach out to participants and let's say speakers 1-2 weeks before the event. So you can schedule in advance, you can schedule ahead, and you can avoid that. You go to a conference, especially if you go to a big conference, you can just really get lost, right? If you go to Web Summit or some bigger size conferences, you really have to prepare in advance, schedule some meetings. There's this networking apps provided by the conferences, search for people, try to schedule some meetings with some of the people who are interesting for you. And then of course, when you go there in person to the event, you can visit some stands, but try to strategize and prepare in advance. The next is the question of the name tags. And well, here I wanted to share this with you because, of course, when you go to a bigger conference, like 4 years from now, you normally get this from the conference organizers. You cannot really change this. But if you go to a smaller event, maybe you have to put something on the name tag, right? And that could be sometimes also like tricky because sometimes you put your full name there. Let's say I put Tamás Szekér and everybody else is just using their nickname. So it's maybe a bit awkward. Or maybe you just use your nickname or just the first name and everybody else is just writing a resume on their name tag. So always look at other people's name tag first before you write your name on yours. And you can also consider putting some conversation starters like non-spam sales guy, marketing guru, the next Elon Musk, whatever. The idea is really that something which is, they look at you, wow, oh, the next Elon Musk, what are you doing? So it's like already a conversation starter. It's much easier, to engage. And this was maybe something you can also think about something like this. This could help a lot if you are in a smaller event. What about the business cards? Well, today's, and especially if you attend tech events, I don't really see many often that people use business cards, but depends on your customers. With iScale, we work a lot with embassies, we work a lot with governments, with corporates, also with different production firms that still use the business cards. So if you are a startup, it doesn't mean that you don't have to you don't have to use a business card. Focus on your target audience, and if they use business card, try also to use business card. If not, you can maybe consider LinkedIn. Actually, if you go to LinkedIn and you go to the search bar, you can actually have a QR code there and you can show the QR code to the other people. They can read it and you are immediately connected. Actually, I have this picture as my background on my phone, so I can just take it at any time and show it to any people. So it's much easier there. But one thing here, whenever you connect with someone, always write a message that you met on this date at this event, because later you will forget it. So maybe you have a person that you connected 1 year ago somewhere, but maybe you won't remember. So especially if you go to many networking events, so try to write a message there immediately. Also, if you have to use a business card, there are issues that you lose a business card or you don't find yours. So I have a very easy system. Put all your business cards, like your business cards on your right pocket, and all the business cards that you get from other people in the left pocket. And then you will never mix them and you will just very easily handle this situation. So this could also be something that maybe you can consider. Actually, with iScale, we are also considering printing some business cards now because we have also this production focused engineering solutions, and they still use the business card. So it all depends on your target audience. Okay, we got to the event, right? We have the name tag, we have the business cards ready. Another issue that people normally do, they go to the event and they stop at the entrance and wait for the people. Why do you think it's a bad idea? It's a bad idea because, of course, sometimes it could work, but normally when people arrive to a networking event, they want to do two things. First, they observe the event, right? What are people here? Okay, so how it's arranged, etc. And then they're looking for where they can get the first drink, right? And then if you are standing in the entrance, maybe they don't want to engage in a conversation with you. So the best place where you can stand is where people leave when exiting the bar. So in this case, this could be here and here, right? So it's a bar, the exit here, so you can wait for them here. They are ready, they already have the drink, so they are ready to engage in a conversation. But at the same time, what I wanted to mention here is it's not the same thing when people exit the lounge the lounge bar. So when they are with a plate, why not? Because I mean they are with a plate, they won't be able to speak to you, right? So maybe you have to go to a cocktail table or sit at the table and wait for people to join you, because then they can put the plate on the table, getting ready to eat, and then you can engage in a conversation with them. And actually, according to science and papers, when you share the bread, break the bread with someone, and have a lunch together, it actually builds the rapport faster. So it could be a good idea to have a lunch or eat something together. And now, Mishi, we reached to your topic, because you were interested in, okay, I go to an event, but how can I go to people? What can I say, etc. So the thing is that I regularly like using the line itself. There could be a line in front of a bar, or in front of a coffee shop, for example, right? People are standing in a line and they are waiting. And if you don't know like or how to go to people, if you don't have people to talk to, go to this line. For example, you are standing here and you can just start a conversation with the person, right? Who is standing in front of you or behind you. And the idea is that even if you are not really interested in the conversation, you can just leave very easily once you get your drink. So, but always the line give you a good context to initiate the conversation. And what could be good opening lines and what could be good context? When I go to conferences, I never really go to people in a super cold way that they are walking and I just go there that, hey, what's up? I don't really do that, but I'm always looking for a context. I use a location or a surrounding in the event or in the conference to make an opening line. What do I mean by that? So if you are at a lunch table, so you are ready with the plate, eating, and someone is next to you, so you can just ask, enjoying the conference so far, as an opening line. Or if you're in a coffee line, you can just ask the question, hey, juicing up for the big keynote. You might also be in the bathroom line. How are you liking today's session? Or what I also like doing is that, let's say I go to a session, I go there, let's say 5-10 minutes earlier, and never take like an empty table. Try to go to tables where people already sit. Why? Because the best networkings happen when you don't expect it. And you can just go to those guys and initiate a conversation. You can ask them that, hey guys, what brings you to this session today? And you can already just, like start a conversation. Same with the badge line or in the elevator. Hey, have you been in this conference before? So these could be opening lines that you can use, but the idea is that you have a context, that you have a location that you use to make the opening line. What happens after? You need to think about conversation starters. And to be honest, it's pretty boring that you ask that how are you or what do you do? How is your day? Everybody's asking that, and I'm pretty sure that you're a more interesting person than just asking these questions. So what can you ask? So instead of asking the question that what do you do, you can ask the question that, hey, have you worked on anything exciting recently? And then they tell you, and it's a more interesting conversation. You are not one of those people asking the same question, but something different. Or instead of asking that, hey, how is your day? You can ask the question that, hey, what are you looking forward to the rest of the day? And again, you get some information about the person. Maybe they are going to an after party. Maybe you can join them. Maybe they can introduce to some other people. And also, when you are talking to that person, maybe not in the beginning, of course, but you can also ask them that, hey, who is the most interesting person you've met here? And they can tell you why, because you can also build your network by getting introduced to those people. But you can, again, if you are in a conference, you can also like continue the conversation, like, what did you think of the keynote? Have you learned anything really interesting so far? Which breakout session are you going to go next? Or any booths I should stop by in the exhibition hall? Again, these are just some of the conversation starters that you can ask after the opening line. Okay, so Mishi, is it satisfying for you? Do you have any questions here? I'm wondering before we continue. Yes, thank you. Okay, okay. Again, like opening line, find a context, find the location or surrounding, and then you can have some conversation starters. Okay, another issue that I normally encounter is remembering the names. And well, the more people you get to know, the more challenging it will become to remember people's names. And it's absolutely okay. But there is one methodology. It's linked to EONM, the ecologically oriented neurorehabilitation of memory program, where they suggest that you should attach a visual cue to a unique facial or body feature. So here's an example, like if this lady is called Lacey, this is my friend Lacey, and you can say that if I met her at a party, I would think her hair looks just like an ace with a pointed A top. So the ace, and you can get Lacey, right? So try to think about that how you can link the name to a unique facial body feature, so you can never forget anyone's name. What about the body language? Well, here my recommendations are the following. Always have open gestures with eye contact and a firm handshake. Well, it might also have some cultural differences. But what I'm also doing, also in the calls, virtual calls, but also in person, is the head tilt. Because the head tilt is the universal language for I'm listening. So if someone's speaking to you, if you're doing this, they will interpret it that you are listening, right? So these are like some of these body languages that I'm using, and you should definitely avoid the folded arms, right? So you don't want to seem like someone close and not interested in the other person, or putting your hands in the pockets could also be interpreted as disrespectful, or hands on the hips, right? So we definitely want to avoid these kind of gestures. I also wanted to mention some cultural differences to you. Why? Because as startups, I'm pretty sure sooner or later you will encounter cultural differences as well. Maybe you want to expand to Asian markets or some other markets, and you have to do things slightly differently, or maybe not slightly, but very differently. First of all, what about the handshake etiquette? It's a pity actually that it's not an in-person workshop, because now we could do some role plays and see each other that how we approach these situations. But basically, in Europe, we normally do the exchange of the handshake before and after the meeting, right? So it's pretty normal for us. We do it with an eye contact, and there is a firm handshake between men, and there's a gentler handshake between women, right? Normally, this is the culture here in Europe. And normally, whoever is hierarchically senior initiates the handshake. So normally this is part of the European etiquette. Of course, there might be some slight differences in certain cultures in Europe, but if you just keep this in mind, it's already a good start. But of course, get some further knowledge about this. The problem really starts. Yes,
Can I have a question about handshake?
yes.
Since you are all men here, I am very curious that I experience this as a woman from time to time, that men are shaking hands with each other at the end of the meeting, and they don't shake hands with me, and it feels very uncomfortable. And when at some point of my life I decided that, okay, I don't care, I will shake every man's hand. And when I have my hand and they feel like, okay, now I have to shake hand with a woman, and sometimes it feels very awkward and very
Mhm.
weird. But at least with this decision, I make them feel awkward and not myself. But I'm very curious, what do you think about this as a man? Like, do you shake hands with women as well, or is it really something that's awkward?
I will answer the question, but before that, guys, any experiences, thoughts on this?
It's
Yeah, I
awkward
complete
for us too, I can tell you. So, it's the etiquette that you are the first who offers the handshake, and that's why are waiting for the girls or the woman, and I'm just waiting, and I won't start it because it's not the etiquette. So, but it's awkward for us too.
Yes, yes, I agree with you. I normally also expect the women to initiate, right? And that's why I think you should be the one initiating the handshake, because what we were taught is that it's the women initiating the handshake. So that's why I never actually initiate it with women, because I expect them to do this first. It's kind of like the part of the etiquette. So this is what we learned, right?
Yes, yes, and I still experience that when I initiate it,
Mhm.
some hands still feel a bit weird because they're not
Really?
used to it, I think, or
Interesting. Are they from the same culture or some other cultures?
the same.
Same culture. Interesting. I mean, you don't have to, you don't, if you really feel it in the beginning, because you have handshake before the meeting and after the meeting, right?
Before the meeting, it feels more natural because we
Mhm.
are greeting each other, but when we are saying goodbye, it's usually happening that men are shaking hands with my partner, who's a man, and they're just, I don't know, like when I start initiating the handshake and they just waving at me or something like.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it could be weird. I agree, and I also understand it. You should kind of feel it, right? Because in Europe, this is the etiquette. But yeah, there could always be some differences. You could feel it, that what should be the right way. It's okay to initiate it. Yeah, thank you very much, Mishi, for attending. We will send you the recording, so thank you for attending. So you will actually feel it, but yeah, you don't have to feel awkward about that.
Okay, thanks.
We're just basically following the etiquette. What could be even more awkward actually is when you meet people from other cultures, and who will adjust their behavior to which culture, right? So that could be tricky, because I've just come up with some handshake etiquettes from Asia. I didn't want to list, of course, all of the countries, but it's interesting to see that also within Asia, there are so many differences. Because Chinese, for example, in formal settings, they also do handshakes, but with a bow. But Japanese, they don't. They normally don't do the handshakes. They do the bow, and with a slight bow of the head, and they also, like this is the one which is also appropriate for Westerners, for Europeans, whenever you meet a Japanese person. Also in China, the Asian rank matter really much. So normally the seniors are the ones who are introduced first. They initiate everything. And in India, normally greeting with namaste. It means I bow to you, right? And men actually shake hands with men, and but men do not touch women when they meet, or greet them. And in Singapore, actually, handshake is pretty much common, and among Orientals there might also be a slight bow. So my recommendation always, I actually wrote my master thesis about culture differences and how startups can overcome it when it comes to international expansion. You should definitely develop your culture intelligence and just read whenever you meet a person that you've never met before and that person is from a different culture. Just try to read about the business ethics, okay? And sorry, business etiquettes, just to make sure that you don't do anything inappropriate. Another thing that could be a big problem is the business card etiquettes. Well, in Europe, what we are used to, super casual, we exchange it normally at the end of the meeting, but also before the meeting, right? So there's no ceremony around this. We just exchange it and we give it to people who we want to have our contact details. And we normally put it immediately in our pockets, or we can even like fold it, write on email address or something. Well, if we do this in Asian cultures, this is super disrespectful. So you shouldn't do this, because in Asia, in many Asian countries, the business card is a ceremony and it's normally the extension of the individual. So you should be very, very careful. Again, I've put together some notes on different countries. In Asia, normally it's like shaking hands in the West, right? This is a ceremony. And you should have like a dual-sided card with a translation. One slide, let's say English, the other side Chinese or Korean or Japanese, for example. And normally, depends on the country, of course, but you give out with both hands and you also accept it with both hands. And you can also have it both there. And you should study the card and don't put it in your pocket, but put it in front of you on the table. Very important, because this can be interpreted as being disrespectful if you do something different. And this, as you can see, someone wrote a message. Okay, thank you very much, Peter, for joining. And as you can see, Japan, India, Middle East, they all have some sort of like differences. India, Middle East, here exchanging the business card is less ceremonial here. So you can just take some things into consideration. Also, I wanted to mention the personal space. You can get into, it's a pity that we cannot do the role plays now here, but you can get into situations that you are trying to go to a person and they are just like stepping back, and you are like walking in the room. Why? Because each cultures and each people have their own personal space. And there is a funny map of Europe, Southern Europe, they kissing and hugging all the time. They have a low personal space. Then the rest of the Europe, one arm length. And Finland, I'd rather talk on the phone. Yeah, so Finnish culture, it's a bit tricky here. But of course, you can also see that while it's the main differences when it comes to personal space, you can be closer to certain cultures, while you can keep the distance with some other cultures. Actually, Finland is here like a really big case. This was Nissan's advertisement, and this like very well represent like the Finnish culture and the personal distance that Finnish people have, minimum 1 meter distance, okay, with strangers. So when they are waiting for the bus, they really keep the distance. So you also have to pay attention for this when it comes to dealing with Finnish people. But stereotypes could hurt actually, so you should always see how the other person reacts, because maybe the Finnish person lived in Saudi Arabia for 10 years, so they might have different cultural preferences. What I also wanted to mention here before we wrap up is the exit formula. So maybe you are in a conversation with someone, you want to wrap up the conversation, and one thing that works is the exit formula. Is what we do here, we give a genuine compliment. Hey, it was very nice to hear about your stories. And I wish you really good luck in your business. Then you give them a follow-up item. Give me your business card and I will just reach out to you on LinkedIn, and yeah, we can have a catch-up call next week, and then a firm handshake. And this will give you a lasting impression. Okay, so whenever you talk to someone, make sure that you use the exit formula to have a lasting positive impression with those person. And of course, don't forget to follow up. When you meet someone in an offline in-person event, follow up within 24 to 48 hours. Send them a brief email about who you are and what you talked about, and try to meet and follow up once in a quarter with people, and also at least once per month with people that you want to build up a stronger relationship with. And of course, some follow-up ideas. You can send them relevant articles, posts, wish them happy birthday, or inform them about opportunities in the startup or innovation ecosystem. I also shared some ideas. These were like some examples that how I followed up my meetings. As you see, offer mentality, offer mindset. I sent this lady a book about psychology and personal branding. She was super grateful for that. And also that was one of the person startup grind. And she also asked me, how can I help you in return? So you can also watch it here. And I'm just also checking the time. We have the elevator pitch. I'm just wondering if you also have time for that, for like, I don't know, 5 minutes just to go through some of the main things. The elevator pitch, when you are at an event, could be, it's classic is the elevator, right? But could be in a networking event, in a bar, when you just go out to drink, for example. You can always meet people who might ask you that, hey, what do you do? And then many people like answer this question in a different way. In an elevator pitch, it should be a short. It's normally there's like a Twitter version of your business plan. And you should keep it really short, 30 to 60 seconds. And the goal is not to pitch and convince the person about something, but more like to grab the attention, and to earn a second conversation. This is very important. And you can also incorporate hook, like what you do in, for example, in your pitch. Use simple language. If you talk about technology, don't overwhelm the person about technical details, and really like showcase some enthusiasm and be passionate about your idea. So if someone asks you what you do, many people answer this or something like this. Hey, I do marketing campaigns for companies. Well, it tells a lot, but still it's yeah, nothing special, right? But if you do it differently, focusing on the outcome, maybe they will interpret it in a different way and you can have a very good first impression. Yeah, we help companies get a higher quality lead so they can scale their businesses, right? It's much better because it's outcome focused. Another way what we can do is the one sentence elevator pitch formula. So at home, just make sure that you use this formula, put together a sentence here. I help X audience to achieve Y value by doing Z. How? So it could be that I help startups to achieve, for example, to generate leads, to fill their pipeline by providing them with bespoke advisory sessions on B2B sales, right? It's clear, to the point, everybody understands this. And you can actually also add that so they can achieve the outcome, so they can grow their business and scale internationally, for example. Another one that I like using is the Founder Institute formula. What they basically do, my company, so you mentioned a company name here, is developing a defined offering. It could be a website, a platform, application, whatever, to help a defined audience. It's B2B, normally we mention the position and the company size, innovation managers at large size companies. If it's B2C, we normally mention that, let's say, the demographic, some of the demographic details. We help women of age 35 to 45 to solve a specific problem, like to reduce costs, to do something with a secret sauce. So what is your value proposition? And how Founder Institute did it here. My company, the Founder Institute, is developing a training and mentoring program to help entrepreneurs launching new startup create meaningful and enduring technology companies with shared equity that encourages peer support. Okay, so you can just feel free to use either of these formulas. And by the way, ChatGPT here can help you a lot. So feel free to add some information to ChatGPT. Also add the formula that, hey, based on the Founder Institute formula, could you please develop elevate some versions, 10 different versions for an elevator pitch, and you can also get some ideas there. Okay, now we won't have time to practice, but maybe this is for you guys at home to prepare and to make the most out of the next event that you will attend. Make sure that you have an elevator pitch ready. Whoever asks you that what you do, you can answer the question. And now you also know that when you go to an event, how to do an opening line, how to start a conversation, how to pay attention to the cultural differences, how to exit the conversation, and of course, how to pitch what you do. So that was about today's session about networking and relationship building. Thank you very much for attending this session today. If you guys have any questions, just feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can also follow a page here and just also send me a message on via email. Happy to answer it. And yeah, thank you again for attending and hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Tamás, for having this amazing masterclass. I think it was very useful. And if we have any questions, we will reach out to you. Thank you very much.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.